My name is Mayra Franco. I am the interim police captain with the Stockton Unified School District Police Department. As a police captain, I oversee the operations and support services functions of the department. As a second in command for the chief, I fill in his shoes when necessary or as assigned. I also oversee our budget for the department, as well as help with developing and implementing any policy or procedures that will be enforced out in public by our officers and staff. So I was born and raised in Stockton, California. I'm a first generation Latina, and my parents were farm workers that would go back and forth between Mexico and the United States. And we stayed here when I turned 5 years old and attended all SUSD schools. I started off a little bit at Washington and King's School, and eventually ended up at Taylor, when we lived in Conway, and attended Marshall Middle School back then, and attended Edison and graduated from Edison in 2003. Being a fellow Stocktonian, I really wanted to make a difference and was trying to find a career path. I would have never thought law enforcement would have been the choice I would have made. However, in conversations with a friend, she kind of convinced me to go to the police academy. And when I attended the police academy, it really showed how I could make a difference in the role of a police officer. And so I really wanted to stay locally, applied only to local agencies. And SUSD was the first to give me an opportunity. And from there, it's just been all uphill. I was an SRO at STAG in the beginning of my career for several years. And that's been the most fulfilling position that I've held within this agency. Just the impact and relationship I was able to make with kids, and even just the impact they had in my life as well, was significant. And you couldn't get that in any other way other than being out there with them, knowing their struggles, being able to mentor and help, give them advice, to ultimately seeing them succeed. The advice that I would give a student who would like to pursue this career is to just always remember the humanity perspective of law enforcement. A lot of people, when they go into this profession and dealing with the day in, day outs of not the best times for a lot of people, because that's usually when law enforcement gets called out, is when someone's facing a difficult situation. But to remember that there is a human involved in the picture. A lot of times, if we just stop and ask the why, that could lead to a possible solution, and ultimately it's going to be a long-term solution versus just affecting an arrest or taking someone to jail. That's a short-term solution. It's putting a band-aid on a problem, where if you really focus on the root problem or the root cause that for whatever reason they stole something or committed a crime, you're looking at an impact in someone's life. And I think for someone with the authority of a police officer to take that approach, it significantly impacts a human being, because not only are you willing to actually help them out, but it's also significant in the sense that they wouldn't even imagine that anybody, especially someone they don't necessarily have a relationship with, would take that approach in time to try to help them out in their personal aspect of their life. And so that's a lot of what we do here at SUSD, and a lot of our cornerstones that we're trying to implement is looking at the humanity of the profession and looking to really help in the long term, help a lot of our students and our staff to keep them from getting into the system and committing crimes that are going to affect them long term and just lead them down a dark hole. And so that's where we're establishing a lot of the police activities league programs, our great programs that are going to teach them that there is not only one way out. Because I think a lot of times when people are faced with a situation, it sometimes feel like you only have one option, and there's always many options to pursue. It's just you just need to have the right advice and the right people telling you what actions, or helping you get to that determination to make a good choice. So that's the biggest piece I would just say, just remember the humanity of the job and why we joined this profession, to really help people and make that impact. And that's where it's really going to occur, in building those relationships and really trying to help people for the right reasons versus taking someone to jail.